What's up, everybody? It is Jacob Tucker here, and welcome to a video tutorial where I'm going to be basically teaching you or walking you through challenge number 0 in Emerald Academy. This is the Hello World example. Because this is the first video tutorial I'm doing for challenges, I just want to give a brief introduction to Emerald Academy. Emerald Academy is a one-stop shop for education on the Flow blockchain. We have live boot camps, courses on cadence and dApp development, and all these things. And this is our website right now. Now, I just want to do a quick spoiler alert. When you watch this video in the future, this website's actually going to look very different because we're currently revamping the whole website. So when you're viewing the challenge on the website, it may look a little different or not. We don't really know yet. But if it does look different, that's okay. This video is still going to work. It'll just look different, like stylistically, but it's going to work the same way. So you can still follow along, okay? So anyways, today we're going to be basically doing some very basic dApp development, and we're going to be doing that through this challenge. Now, what are we going to be doing today? We're going to deploy a Hello World contract to the Flow blockchain on our own computer, and also on testnet. We're going to be using the local flow emulator to do that. So when you hear local flow emulator, that really just means a blockchain that's like running on your computer that only you can use for testing purposes, right? And a local flow dev wallet. So a wallet is something like Blockdo, Lilyco, or Dapper Wallet. These are things that contain your address, which has all your assets in it, right? That's your account. But a local flow dev wallet is just like a local wallet that runs on our computer that we're going to use to run transactions and scripts, and those keywords we'll talk about in a bit. And then we're also going to be using Next.js, which is basically like a just app environment where we can run a local web server, have like a little website that we're running on our computer, a simple backend, stuff like that, right? And that is going to compromise or that's going to basically comprise of our dApp development, right? So a blockchain, wallet, and our Next.js app. Okay. So the final deliverable is going to be a dApp that lets users read and change a greeting field on the Flow testnet. Okay, so we're going to start with the local emulator and then move over to testnet as we go along with the video. All right, so let's get started. So I'm on Windows right now. If you're on Mac or Linux, it's actually easier for you. Okay, so if you're on Mac or Linux, this process is going to be even easier. But if you're on Windows, it's totally fine. I'm on Windows right now. Okay, so it works on all systems. Okay. So checkpoint 0 is install. We can see all the checkpoints on the side here. Again, if this looks different in the future, that's okay. So checkpoint 0 is to install. Now, let's do Node. So I already have Node on my computer. So if I do Node-V, right, it gives me a version. That means I have it. I'm using 16.16. I think if you're using a different version, I think it's okay. The newer, the better, I would say. I think actually 17, yeah, 17 may cause errors. So I would try to use Node v16. But if you're using v17, I think it should be fine as well. So if you don't have it installed, just click on this and the Flow CLI. Now I'm going to walk through that because most people already have Node, but not the CLI. So the CLI is here. If you're on Mac, I would copy this right here and paste that into your terminal. If you're on Linux, I would copy this right here and put that in your terminal. Now, if you're in Windows, you copy this line and put that in your terminal. Now, I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that again, but let me just show you what you would do. You would copy it and you would paste it in your terminal, just like, oh, well, why is it not inserting? Oh, did I not copy it? Let me try this again. Let's copy this and let's paste it. What? Oh, okay, that's weird. I guess it was just taking some time. So you would copy this and then you would click enter, but I've already done this, so again, I'm not going to do this again, okay? And you have it when you type flow version, and it gives you a version back, right? So this is the version I'm using right now. Cool, so that's all the setup we're going to need, and if you did that, then you're good to go. So we can close this out. Cool. So now that we've done that, we're going to run this line, git clone. So what this is doing is this is taking a GitHub repository, which is basically where the code is stored, and it's bringing it to your local computer, which is why you need Git. So you also need Git if you don't have that already. Now, what this really means is like, what's a repository? Well, if you can skip ahead if you already know this, but a repository is this. It's using GitHub, which basically stores all this code. Now you can see all the code is stored right here, and if you want to follow along with this README, that's totally fine. It's the same instructions. Maybe it looks a little nicer, or you can follow along here. It's up to you. But we're gonna run this line right here: git clone and then hello world. So I'm in my Emerald Academy challenges directory, and I'm gonna click right here. Okay, so I'm gonna insert. I don't know why is it being so weird. Let's try this again. Okay. Anyways, so I guess that's that. And you're going to click enter. It's going to load it on your computer. Now, what's the next step? It says in the terminal window, install the dependencies and start your front end. So we're going to do that right now. So let's first cd into hello world. So cd into zero hello world, like that. Okay. And now we're going to run npm install. Now, npm install is going to basically install all of your dependencies for you, right? So it's going to, basically install everything you need to actually get this running on your computer. So let's go ahead and do that. Right? Boom, we did that. And I'm gonna type in clear just to get rid of all the mess. And now I'm gonna run npm run dev. So npm run dev. All right. Now this should, well, I guess, okay, I'll allow access computer. Um, so I'm gonna start that, and it's running, right? So it's running a web server on our computer, right? So we actually go to this URL, http localhost 3000. Let's do that, localhost 3000. Or let's just HTTP localhost 3000. And hopefully, if everything's working, actually, I think it might still be, I think it's still trying to load actually. So we might have to give it a second to actually load here. And while it's loading, let's actually go back to our challenge and keep going while this figures it out. So it says in the second terminal window, start your local emulator. So let's do that together. Let's go to another terminal window. So I'm going to open up another terminal window here. Oh, look, okay, so it actually is compiling now. But I'm going to open up another window. Right? And inside this window, I'm going to, let's make this a little bigger so you can all see it. Inside this window, I'm going to start the local emulator. So the way to do that is let's first go back into the folder that we're working in, right? So zero hello world. If you can't tell already, I'm a Mac user, so for me, when I'm on Windows, I like literally have no idea what's going on. But I'm trying my best here. Okay, so inside here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run flow. Oops, let's why is it being weird? Flow emulator start and then dash V. Now I'll explain what dash V means in a second, right? And this is exactly what it's telling me to do here. So flow emulator start dash V. So if I run that, it's going to start the emulator on our computer. So now we have like a local blockchain that's actually running on our computer, so that we can, deploy contracts and do transactions and all that fun stuff. Now we need to actually open up a third terminal window, and this is going to start this is for starting our dev wallet. So if I'm not bad enough at this already, let's try and do this together. Oh man, this is gonna get painful by the end, but it's all right. So cd docs documents Emerald Academy, and then cd into our hello world again. This is our third terminal, and now I'm gonna run flow dev wallet. Okay. So now that I run flow dev wallet, it says starting dev wallet, and we're all good. Now also make sure you do it all in this order. Oh, actually, I forgot something. I forgot to deploy our contracts. So let me actually, I wasn't following the instructions. Let me do that. So I'm going to quit this, and I'm going to clear everything. I'm going to first do flow project deploy. Okay, that's going to deploy our contracts. You can see it actually deployed the Hello World contract, and I'll show you how that's happening in a second. And now I'm going to start the flow dev wallet. So flow dev wallet. Okay, so now the wallet is running, and we're good to go. So the cool thing is that our first terminal window actually already completed. So now we have this is our website that's running, right? So this is all really awesome. And the cool part is that when I go to log in here, you'll see it's running the dev wallet, right? So this is the dev wallet that we ran right here, where it says, all this, the Flow dev wallet. That's how this is running right now. So if I click on service account, now I'm actually logged into that account, and I can click on get greeting, right? And it's actually reading from our local blockchain what the greeting is. Now, again, I'll show you why this is happening, but just see this, right? And I can even type in like goodbye world and on right. So if I type that in and click change greeting, now it's going to come up with a transaction. So it's showing you that the service account's the one that's calling this. This is the arguments that's being passed into our Cadence code. And this is the source code right here. So import hello world from this address, right? That's where we deployed it. And this is the Cadence code. So if you know Cadence, you can sort of read through this if you want, but it's pretty simple. And if you click approve and then click on get greeting again, now it says goodbye world, right? And I could even type in Jacob is the best person on the planet. I don't know why my scroll wheel is being weird, but I can type that in, change greeting, click approve, and now we click on get greeting. There we go. Now our greeting is right there, right? So, and this is all happening on the blockchain, which is super cool. So yeah, that is pretty much the extent of this website. But now let's actually dive into some code and figure out how this stuff is even happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to quit this out really quickly. I'm going to run code space dot. Now code space dot is going to actually open up my VS Code. So now I'm like viewing this in my code editor. So this is what's going to allow me to basically read the code, right, of our project. Now I also realized that I got too excited and I skipped. I just sort of went through this part because I was excited about it. But if you wanted to, you could follow what I just did more closely in these checkpoints, right? This is using the local dev wallet. Tells you to click login. We already did that. It tells you to read the greeting. We already did that. Checkpoint 3 was changing the greeting, right? We did that as well. And now we're on checkpoint 4, which is deploying to testnet. But before we deploy to testnet, I want to sort of walk through the code a little bit. So the reason why we were able to deploy our contract was because inside this flow folder and in Cadence, there's a hello world.cdc file. Now this is Cadence code right here, right, which is super awesome. And oh my God, I'm looking at this for the first time. It looks like the flow team fixed the Cadence extension for Windows. I'm in shock. Okay, I'm sorry. I know we're in the middle of a tutorial, but this has been broken for 2 years since I started, and it's now fixed. This is like a game changer for me. Okay, I'm sorry. I got so distracted. I'm like blown away. That's wow. I feel so old that I like that an extension is working in VS Code. I'm so okay. Anyways, what I mean by that, by the way, is that in VS Code there's a Cadence extension that if you look up Cadence and click on it, and you can install it, and this gives you compile errors in your Cadence code. But it's been broken on Windows for 2 years and just fixed. Okay. Anyways, beside the point. Thank you, Flow Gods. Wow, that's incredible. This is the contract that we deployed. All it is it has a greeting field. It has a function to change the greeting, and it initializes it to hello world when it's initially deployed. So we're reading from this variable and we're changing it with this function, right? So that's kind of behind the scenes. And in our flow.json, we actually, in our contracts little object here, we have hello world and it points to the contract. And then in this deployments object, we have emulator and emulator account, and we're deploying hello world. So when we run flow project deploy, it's actually looking here and deploying hello world. So that's how that's happening. And to show you a little bit about how the transactions are happening, inside the index.js file, this is the function that's calling the this is calling the script that like reads from the blockchain, so reads the greeting, and this is the transaction that changes the greeting. Oops, this is the transaction that changes the greeting right here. So you can dive into this if you want. I'm not going to go too far into it, but basically you just use FCL. So at onflow/FCL, we already set this up for you when you ran npm install. You installed FCL. It's called the Flow client library. That's like the longer name. And we run await fcl.query. That's for scripts. We pass in the cadence code, and there's no arguments here. But for the transaction, we call fcl.mutate. That's the function that calls the transaction. We pass in the cadence code right here, and here's the argument. We pass in the proposer, the payer, the authorizations. These are three things that are needed for transactions on Flow. You need a proposer, the person proposing the transaction or like starting it, the payer, the person paying for it, like the gas fees, and the authorizations, which is the people that you have access to their account. But I'm not going to go too far into that. If you're more curious about that, take our cadence course. Yeah, and then this is all this is what's actually being rendered on the page, and we use Tailwind for the styling. Okay, so that's all that. Now, what we want to do now is checkpoint 4, which allows us to deploy this on testnet. So again, right now, this is all on our local computer. It doesn't actually do anything for the blockchain. It's just on our computer. But let's deploy it to testnet so that other people can interact with this if they want. So let's do that. Okay. So let's follow the steps. So first, generate a deployer address by typing flow keys generate network testnet. Now, what this is doing, I'm going to go back. You can go to any terminal you want. I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to put that right here. So flow keys generate network equals testnet. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're generating an account on testnet. In order to deploy a contract, you have to deploy it somewhere. You have to deploy it to an account. We're making that account right now, okay? So that we can then deploy our contract and then interact with it. So let's do that. We just generate a private key and a public key, right? I can show you the private key because this is testnet, so it doesn't matter. If this were mainnet, I would be freaking out right now, but okay. So we did that, and that sort of looks like this. Now we can actually create the account. So this just gives us a public and private key pair, but we're going to actually create the account with this key pair. So we go to this link that I just clicked on right here, and it's just paste in your public key. So let's paste in our public key. Let's copy that and paste that in. Okay. Now leave these the same and click I am human. And let's click all the conference rooms. I don't know is that this? These two, I guess. I don't know. Verify. Okay, cool. And create an account. So right now it's running a transaction on the testnet blockchain to create an account. Okay. So it's spinning and it'll take a second. And once it does that, we'll be all good. And I think it's also giving it some like base flow tokens. Okay, yeah, so here's our address, right? So cool, we have an address now. So what do we need to do now, okay? We need to, it says click copy address and make sure to save that address somewhere. So let's just leave it here for now. Add your testnet account to your flow.json by modifying the following lines of code. Paste your address you copied above. Okay, so we'll do that in a second. So what does it want us to modify? Well, let's look at this, okay? So in the accounts object, we need to add something, okay? So let's go to our flow.json. So here's our accounts object. We already have the emulator account, but what else do we need? We need the testnet account. So let's copy the testnet account and put that right here. So let's comma and paste it. Awesome. Now your generated address, that's the address we just generated. So let's click copy address and paste that right there. And your private key is the private key we used to generate it. So here's the private key. Let's go ahead and copy that and paste that right here. Okay, perfect. That's all we need to do there. And what else do we need to do? So under deployments, we need to add a testnet object. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is going to allow us to deploy the contract to testnet. So this is the network name, right? Emulator testnet. This is the name of the account that we set up here. So we called it testnet account under the accounts object. So we're going to deploy it to testnet account. Okay. So again, we're taking our hello world.cdc contract and we're deploying it to the testnet blockchain, more specifically to the account we just generated. So let's do that, right? So now what do we have to do? Now it says, okay, deploy your Hello World smart contract. So we have to run flow project deploy network testnet. So let's go back here and let's run flow project deploy dash dash network equals testnet. Now it's deploying the account to testnet, which is super cool. Now, one thing I want to point out, by the way, is you can actually go to something called the view source. So I'll put this link in the description too. You can go to the view source. Now, with the view source, let's click on testnet, and this allows you to discover information about contracts. So let's take the address we're supposed to be deploying to, paste it in account, and click go. And oh, look at that. So it comes up with our account right here, and look under contracts. There's hello world. We did it, right? So it deployed. And if we go to our terminal, it should say all contracts deployed successfully. Woohoo, we did it, right? That's awesome. So if we go back to our steps, we've now deployed our contract to testnet. What do we need to do next? Lastly, configure your .env file to point to flow testnet so we can interact with your new contract. So in your .env file, change the following. So change next public contract address to your generated testnet address. So let's go to the env file. So let's change this address to the one we just generated. Okay, change that. Let's go to next public access node. What do we need to change that to? Up this right here. So now we're not pointing to our local, right? Local host is like our local emulator. No, we're not doing that anymore. Now we're pointing to testnet.onflow.org. So this is the actual testnet blockchain. And then we're going to change the wallet to this one. So this is something called FCL. Like, so you see, it was pointing to localhost 8701. That's where the dev wallet was running. But now we're going to change it to FCL Discovery. What that is that's basically like a, how do I explain it? It's like all the supported wallets on Flow in one spot. Unfortunately, Dapper Wallet's annoying, so they don't support it in FCL Discovery yet, but it has Blockdo and Lilyco right now, right? So that's pretty cool. So what do we need to do? You can now terminate all your terminals. So let's go ahead and terminate all of our terminals. Yeah, we want to stop it. I'm just clicking Control C to do that. So stop all our terminals, right? They're all stopped. And we no longer need to run our own local blockchain. So that's awesome. So what we can actually do is we can totally close this window and close this window because we no longer need to run our own blockchain or our own wallet, right? It's all on testnet now, so we don't need to do this anymore. But what we do need to do is we need to run our app again. So let's run npm run dev again, and this is just going to run our website again, and it's going to take a second to do that. And it says run npm run dev to start your application in a terminal and have a blast with your dApp. So hopefully when this loads in 10 hours, we should be able to to do this. So I'm going to keep refreshing here to see if it'll ever load. Oh, is it back? Oh, okay, looks like it's good. Let's log out. Let's refresh the page. And if we click log in, then look, it actually is coming up with this thing called FCL Discovery, and that is, right, Lilyco and Blockdo. So if I click Blockdo, log in with my Blockdo wallet, right, let's click confirm. What I can do is I can get the greeting. Uh-oh, there's a problem. There's an error interacting with the Flow blockchain. Um, let's see. That's strange. I wonder why it's saying that. Um, hmm. Oh, I know why. It's because this is actually. Wait, let me try something. I think if I do rest testnet, let me try. Okay, this is live debugging, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try this again. Oh, wait. Oh, let me try to restart this. I think this is actually a little bit outdated because they updated this a month or so ago. So I hope I just caught this because that would be good because I'll fix this. But anyways, live debugging. Awesome. All right, let's try this again. Let's try and log in Blockdo and click confirm. Let's hopefully it worked. Wow. Okay. Nice. I mean, when does that ever happen as a programmer where you fix something and it works first try? All right. I guess I have to change that. So it's rest testnet. I'm glad I found that out. All right. So hello world, and we can click. Let's change this to Jacob is the best. Woo! And click change greeting, and it should come up with a little transaction. Here we go. Here's Blockdo, and Jacob is the best is the argument. Here's all the cadence code. And if we click approve, we'll have to wait a second because this is happening on testnet. But I believe actually, if I go to our console, do I log this? Oh no, I don't. Okay. Um, but I could add that actually. Oh, you know what we can do? Well, we could do if testnet flow scan was working. But if you go to the dev console, so you right click your screen, click inspect, and then click console, it actually logs the transaction ID. Now, if you copy this and go to testnet.flowscan.org, you would be able to paste this in right here and click explore, but I think it's broken. Oh, never mind, it's working again. Wow, I mean, all these things are all of a sudden working again, so I'm very surprised. But you can actually see the transaction that happened on testnet, right? So this is the cadence code. This was the argument. Jacob is the best. The authorizer, the payer, the proposer. And if we go back to our website again and click Get Greeting, it's now Jacob is the best, right? So this is all happening on testnet. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and deploy this to Vercel, or what's that other one that I used to use? I forget. But anyways, you could deploy this to Vercel, right? And people could use this application if they wanted to, but that is beyond the scope of this lesson. So that's that. I hope you all enjoyed, and I guess maybe you can stop the video there, or if you want to learn more about this application, you can stick around. But maybe you're asking, well, when we made these changes, why did that all of a sudden change this to testnet and all that? Well, it's because inside of Flow and then config.js, this is how we configure our application to the blockchain. So right here, access node.api, that is what network we're looking at. So you can see that is next public access node. So when we change that to testnet, now we're looking at testnet. Discovery.wallet is where, like what wallet we're using. So in this case, we're using like FCL Discovery. So it uses next public wallet. That's what we changed right here. And then this may be a little confusing, but this is OX deployer, and we're mapping that to next public contract address. Now, what that means, that's the address that we generated. What this means is that when we go to our, this is the transaction right here, we actually can put that in the Cadence code, OX deployer. And what it'll do is when this transaction gets run, it'll automatically replace this with the address that's put right here, which in this case is next public contract address, which is right here. So that's a way so that we did that so that when you switch from emulator to testnet, you could just put the address here and the transactions would automatically know to replace that right here. So that's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, that's all there is to it. Again, if this changes a little bit in the future, like that's okay, it'll still work. And I hope this was educational. All right, everyone, peace out. Oh, and if you have any questions, make sure inside of Discord, this is the Emerald City Discord. You can always ask in Emerald Academy in the chat channel. Say, hey Jacob, I need some help. Woo! All right, I'm gonna delete that so that no one sees that. But anyways, you can totally do that. All right, so hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.